Hello and a warm welcome to Federal special program Capital Beat. RSS Chief Mohan Bhagwat on 6th of September said that reservation should continue as long as there is discrimination in the society. Now, this was seen as some kind of a departure about 8 years back when he called for a review of the quotas. And this happened during the Bihar Assembly elections in 2015. Now, let me quote exactly what RSS Chief Mohan Bhagwat said. Now, he's basically said that we kept our own fellow beings behind in the social system. We did not care for them, and it continued for 2000 years. After this, he said that until we provide them equality, some special remedies have to be there, and reservation is one of them. Hence, reservations have to continue till there is such discrimination. And apart from this, he also says, we at the RSS give all the support to the reservations provided in the Constitution. Now, after he's made this remark, the people are asking that why has Mohan Bhagwat raised his pitch on reservation? Now, is it some kind of an electoral trap for 2024 elections to lure the backward voters? Or is RSS seemingly going through some big-time inherent changes which people are not able to understand? And would you really trust what Mohan Bhagwat has said? I'm joined by a very special panel. Joining me now is Nilanjan Mukhopadhyay, senior journalist and author. Thank you so much for joining. We have Vivek Deshpande, senior journalist, joining us. Thank you so much. And we have TK Rajlakshmi, deputy editor from the Frontline. Thank you, Rajlakshmi, for joining. And let me begin with Nilanjan Mukhopadhyay. Nilanjan, how would you really read Mohan Bhagwat's statement? And would you really trust him when he says that reservation should continue as long as there is discrimination in the society?
No, I think Mr. Mohan Bhagwat has actually proven himself in the last 9 years, especially after Mr. Modi became the Prime Minister. He's proven himself as the master of inconsistencies. Along with reservations, he's also said a time will again come when India will become a Hindu Rashtra. Some time ago, he had said that there is no question of making India a Hindu Rashtra because we already are a Hindu Rashtra. In 2015, he said something which was obviously that was the time when the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh had not become the kind of the organization of power which it is today. Today, it is in complete sync with the BJP and with the regime headed by Mr. Narendra Modi. So one eye is always on the interests of what suits this regime. That is how the statements are being made. But given his inconsistencies, we really do not know that how long it will be before Mr. Bhagwat will actually say something different, maybe closer to what he said in 2015 on reservations. Because you have to understand that by the statement, the RSS is nowhere, Mr. Bhagwat is nowhere saying that we want to junk the Varna system. He's not saying that.
Exactly.
He is also not saying that I am completely repudiating the past of the RSS on several of these issues. There are two major contradictions within the BJP, within the RSS, if we actually go back to 50 years and sometime around that time, major developments happened. An interview given by Mr. Golwalkar when he was the Sarsang Chalak in 1969 to a Marathi paper, Navkal, in which he expounded, he said that the four Varna systems are eternal, they cannot be removed. It is essential for sustaining the Hindu order. He died, Mr. Balasaheb Deoras became the Sarsang Chalak. Among the first things which he did was that in Pune, he addressed the Vasant Vyakhyan Mala, a very important lecture, where he actually talked about breaking the caste system, within the RSS, reaching out beyond the closed caste walls that the RSS was operating under. Between now and 2024 will be the 50th anniversary year of that landmark speech. The RSS is still struggling to define, to be able to make out what to do with caste, what to do with reservations. So it's just, Mr. Bhagwat's statement is just something which is said so that the apple cart of the BJP is not upset before the parliamentary elections next year and the assembly elections in Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh, Telangana, and Mizoram.
Right. So it's very clear from what Nilanjan is saying, Vivek, and if I may come to you, that it looks like some kind of an electoral trap to lure the backward voters or not lose that vote bank, which BJP is trying to consolidate through its social engineering, which it has done in the last 9 years. So this would be purely seen as some kind of an electoral trap.
Yeah, it surely does look like that, Nilu. Apart from being inconsistent, I believe Mr. Bhagwat is also dishonest because, over the last 10 years, the kind of incidents of Dalit atrocities that we have witnessed, right, since Rohit Vebula to Hathras and Una, and, we have so many such examples to give. Despite that, Mr. Bhagwat has not condemned any one of those incidents during also his Vijayadashmi speech. I remember Hathras had happened just before the Vijayadashmi speech of that particular year, and I was covering that event, so I was expecting him to say something about it, but he did not refer to it at all. And on the contrary, he said, it's such a big country and many things keep happening. That does not mean that we are not united, and all those sorts of things. So there is a clear dishonesty behind what he says. Of course, Nilanjan would remember that he had said in Nagpur itself last year that the Varna system and the caste system has to be thrown out lock, stock and barrel. He did say that. But whether that is an honest statement, that is something which we really can't say as of now, because the history of the RSS has been one of a Brahminical order. Over the last 100 years, RSS has not been able to find any Sarsang Chalak or even the entire top order of the RSS consists mainly of Brahmins. More than 90% of them. Very rarely would you have someone who is a non-Brahmin who is holding the top position in RSS. So it's completely a Brahminical order. So how does one take Mr. Bhagwat's statement as honest? I had written some time back about this, saying that, because there has been the resentment among the backward sections has been growing over the last 10 years. The manner in which they have introduced the lateral entry system, where most of the entrants are upper caste. Also, the economically weaker section category of reservations they have introduced. That has been their demand. In 1981, they had actually passed a resolution, the Akhil Bharatiya Pratinidhi Sabha, that passed a resolution to the effect that the reservation system should be reviewed, and they have been demanding economy-based reservations over the years, and that has been fulfilled by Mr. Narendra Modi. So their actions really do not match the words. They continue to be a Brahminical order. What has happened is, because of the return of the bundle politics, the RSS is rattled. You must have seen how some ministers, a Bihar minister had criticized Tulsidas, and there were a lot of resenting whines against Tulsidas as a Brahminical poet and saint. And somebody, that minister had said that Tulsidas's Ramayana should be burned along with Manusmriti and such other texts. So they have been seeing, they have been witnessing this resentment from the backward sections over the last few years, and the return of the Mandal politics is haunting them like anything. That's why they want to stay afloat. And to stay afloat, they have to say all kinds of right things. And I suspect Mr. Bhagwat, when he says this, he is only trying to save his fort. And as Nilanjan rightly said, in 2025, they have their centenary year coming up. They don't want the BJP to go out of power. They want the BJP to stay in power at any cost, whether it is Mr. Modi or whether it is Mr. Gadkari, anyone. But they want BJP to stay back. So that's why this whole statement has been made in the context of the elections that are coming up next year. There's no iota of honesty behind this, because they have been saying all sorts of things which are inconsistent with each other. Just to give you an example, Mr. Krishna Gopal of the RSS said recently about women. He said that women have got the secondary position in Hinduism because of the onslaught of the Muslims, who were kind of persecuting Hindu women. So we had to restrict them to home. And Mr. Bhagwat had said a few years ago that the place of the women is at home. He had said that marriage is a contract where the woman manages the home affairs, and the husband gives her security, and she gives the husband in exchange of that whatever he wants. So that is the kind of thoughts they have nurtured over the years. That is why to take Mr. Bhagwat's statement as some kind of an honest assertion is very difficult thing.
Okay, so you're saying that it looks like, seemingly it looks like a dishonest statement. But the timing of Bhagwat's statement, Rajlakshmi, is very, very interesting. It's coming at a time when there is a whole lot of this debate around Sanatan Dharma versus the social justice, especially after what Udayanithi Stalin has said, what A. Raja has said about Sanatan Dharma. So is Mohan Bhagwat trying to salvage some kind of a position for himself, I mean, for RSS and the BJP? And the second question also arising out of this is that is Mohan Bhagwat directly, indirectly, or obliquely trying to send out a message to BJP in a way that it's time now that we start talking about according respect to the backward caste and not just take reservation as some kind of a poverty alleviation program? Would you see it from that angle as well?
Yeah, he said so. In fact, he used, he used the word, respect in his speech, in Nagpur, as he addressed students, at this place called the Agrasen Chhatravas. Okay, so it's the Chhatravas itself is named after a very, after your trading community. Agrasen. I presume, is the let's say the ancestral whatever name, etc. of the Agarwal community, right? Now you have caste hostels, you have Jat hostels, you have similarly named community and caste hostels. Now you are he sort of makes these remarks at this Agrasen Chhatravas, right? And I would agree. See, it's not a question of respect. It's a question of justice after all. It's not respect. So so there itself, there's something wrong in that approach, right? And the other aspect is that he again, he did not speak about eradicating, the Vyavastha, which is what he used, the term, Vyavastha, which is the structure, the social structure. So he does not talk in terms of eradication, but he says, that we have to make amends, and that reservations is some way of making amends for what we did to our own people, right? And therefore for the next 200 years, we have to continue, making amends. At least the one, I think, let's say, saving grace in this is that at least she doesn't attribute the infirmities of that of our social structure on outsiders or on invaders, invaders, and so he says, oh, this is our own thing, we have to address this, okay, but clearly the form in which it has to be addressed, it's something patronizing, it's not it really doesn't strike at the very roots of the structure, which are sort of connected and sanctified by Sanatan Dharma. So the two things go hand in hand. So it's not that you can't address one thing and you do not address the other thing. So it's a very convenient convenient framework. And clearly I would agree with what Vivek also said and what Kunilanjan said, because there is this feeling amongst the spokespersons, of the backward classes that there are several things wrong about the caste system, and now they're articulating in such terms, you see. So while of course Bhagwat did not speak about doing away with the Manusmriti, okay, the Manusmriti is basically the entire code of behavior, okay, based on how men and women should behave, right? And it's a completely discriminatory piece of document. So this piecemeal addressing of the the issue, and to say that reservations should be accepted by us, because we did injustice to them and because we give them respect, it's not, the whole framework is wrong, essentially. While on the other hand, the RSS is not going to speak about intercaste marriages. It's not going to speak about interfaith marriages. It's not, because how else do you eradicate caste, isn't it? You sort of eradicate caste by by attacking, endogamy, okay, which is the basis, which in fact furthers, or rather perpetuates in caste, because people sort of marrying within the same caste, they do not look beyond, right? And since there are lots of proscriptions, if you do that, I mean, so we've seen all these honor killings, etc. So where there's the complete silence, in fact, it has been the demand, of the women's organizations to bring a honor killing law. The RSS is completely silent. What about reservations for women? It's, I mean, it's completely silent. In fact, even on the issue of reservations, Neelu, I mean, if you say if I mean, if the RSS, the BJP supports reservations, right, and says that that we must have it, but on the other hand, the kind of investment that you need to make, in health, education, etc., so that those categories of people, they are able to access that, access those facilities is not there. It's a complete stagnancy as far as investment in health education is concerned. So these things, they really don't make much sense, but it's clearly oriented towards because it's sort of in fact directed towards a discomfort that backward castes and classes feel that the caste system has sort of done for them, and therefore, yeah.
Right. So the contradictions are very, very clear. And that brings me to the next question, Nilanjan, that, there is a feeling that because of Modi and Shah, the style of politics they do, RSS somewhere, I mean, Modi and Shah have become bigger than RSS. Now, through this statement on reservation, is Mohan Bhagwat also trying to make his presence felt that, look, we also exist? Despite all the discordance and the inherent contradictions, somewhere, is there a feeling of insecurity on the part of Bhagwat? So he makes these discordant notes time and again, just to make his presence felt, because of this feeling that, Modi has grown bigger than the RSS.
Before actually tackling your thing, this contradiction or this constant power struggle, I'm using that word, this phrase very knowingly, between the RSS and the BJP, there is one, and it has to be faced and tried. We have to understand. But before that, in his speech, whatever Mr. Bhagwat said, what we read in the media reports, he talked about a 2,000-year-long period when we were bad to them. So now for 200 years, Raj Lakshmi in fact reminded me of it. 200 years we have to correct. Now, I am actually getting very confused about what is the exact history which the RSS or the Sangh Parivar wants to project. Mr. Modi, at least for the last 12, 14 years, he has been talking about 1,200 years of slavery. He initially used it as a political rhetoric, but when he went to the US this time, while speaking to the US Congress, he actually said it on the floor of the House that 1,000 years of foreign rule. He repeated that in several speeches in India on the 15th of August, as well as during his reply to the motion of no confidence in Parliament. He referred to it. So at one level, Mr. Modi is talking about the 1,000+ years of foreign rule when Hindus were under slavery. So Hindus as one were under slavery by an external force whose progenies are the Muslims of today. On the other hand, Mr. Bhagwat is saying for 2,000 years, one section of Hindus were bad to another section of Hindus. So thereby, this section of Hindus to whom we are bad, we must be good to them, and we must, rectify what happened to them for the past 2,000 years. So then, where does Mr. Modi's theory about history fit into Mr. Bhagwat's and vice versa? I am completely unable to understand. I find it absolutely very bemusing, in fact, because it just shows that the hollowness of their understanding of history. This is something which came to my mind, which I wanted to point out. Now, yes, the point is that we have grown up in this profession using the RSS, referring to it as the big brother in Nagpur. Now, in 2013, when Mr. Modi actually bamboozled his way through the RSS and actually got himself first named as the chief of the campaign committee and then the BJP's prime ministerial candidate, it became very clear that the RSS was worried that out here suddenly somebody has come who is more charismatic, and if we actually do not put him in that position, then he is going to take the RSS away. that the cadre will go and totally start supporting Mr. Modi. There was definitely a great sense of force from below for Mr. Modi, which is what the RSS leadership felt. That is why they opted for him, despite the fact that they had several problems with him. They have problem with his Vyakti Puja, which is personality cult. Let us not forget the fact that in the last 9 years, there has been a tremendous amount of cultification of Mr. Modi. You have not seen this kind of wall-to-wall, carpeting of posters for a G20 summit. Just to remind everybody, 40 years ago in 1983, India was host to 2 major international summits within a few months. In the month of March, there was the non-aligned movement summit, that famous beer hug between Fidel Castro and Indira Gandhi. Indira Gandhi also, used diplomacy with a similar kind of flair. Of course, not as blatant. Also, technology was not there at that time to be able to do it the way Mr. Modi does. In November, later that year in 83, was the CHOGM meeting, the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting in Delhi. Mrs. Gandhi used these things to project her as an international icon, as a very important leader in the international arena. It was accepted by people. Her stock definitely went up. But question obviously links that if she had not been assassinated, would she have been able to lead the Congress to the kind of victory that it eventually got in 1984 after her assassination? Elections were due latest by January 1985. When the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting ended, at that time her stock was fairly high. But within a few weeks, Punjab, rising cost, various other issues started coming up, and then her stock started falling. Then came Operation Blue Star, and thereafter we really declined. So while Mr. Modi might feel that there has been that Pew Research survey which says that a large number of Indians think, more than 50% of Indians think that under Mr. Modi, India's respect and dignity has gone up in the world, and that he has been able to give greater respect for the Indian passport. It's a different thing that rating agencies list the Indian passport at a fairly bottom of the list, because the strength of the passport is actually evaluated by the number of countries to which the citizens can go without prior visas. When you land and you can enter without any visa. So we continue to be in a similar situation where we were previously. It's just that for domestic consumption, and also because of being able to publicize it, there is this belief that Mr. Modi is actually the Vishwa Guru, whereas there are all kinds of problems on that. Within the RSS and the BJP, yes, that the RSS has yielded space to Mr. Modi. I'm not talking about Mr. Amit Shah, because Mr. Shah minus Mr. Modi possibly would not be able to retain the kind of power that he has at the moment. It's still an open question. I don't want to get into that. But thereafter, what has happened consistently from 2013 onwards, that the big brother first became the twin brother. At times it appears, over the last 9 years, it appears that the RSS is no longer the big brother, it is the younger brother. That the big brother is actually Mr. Modi. Purely because of the fact that the RSS cannot get the kind of support which Mr. Modi has. He commands much more charisma and a far greater amount of electoral support than any of the other leaders that the RSS has been able to project. I am firmly of the view, despite having severe reservations about the kind of politics he espouses, I think that Mr. Modi is definitely much more powerful than Mr. Vajpayee ever was. And I'm saying this with careful consideration.
Right. But from what you're saying, Vivek, would it be right to come to that conclusion that, of course, RSS has not shut its eyes. It's seeing what is happening, the way the cultification of Modi is happening, and which is leading to the overshadowing of RSS in a way, which has been its ideological mentor. So is this through these discordant notes, like reservation on what Bhagwat has said, is this another opportunity for RSS to, magnify its status once again to what it was? And probably it's trying to send out simultaneous messages to Modi, to BJP, that, it will change itself. And then maybe, the whole ideological agenda is at a variance. So do you see this as another opportunity for RSS, where it could probably lead to some kind of bigger changes by which Modi could be forced to acknowledge their presence once again?
Yeah, I think there is a scope for looking at this whole issue from that perspective. I don't know whether that is intended to be so, but then we can certainly surmise that RSS has again trying to get that larger than life portrait for itself. And what Mr. Modi and his people should have been saying, the RSS is saying at this moment, because at the political level, this mandalization is affecting the BJP, and at the social level, I think it affects the RSS, because the RSS since the 1980s had started, I mean, quite late in its life. It was set up in 1925, and in 87 or so, it realized that it needs to work in the Dalit bastis and all. So very late they started this organization called Seva Bharti. So they have expanded their work in the areas where the underprivileged people live, and they don't want that advantage to now peter out just because of a rift among the Hindus themselves. See, what has happened is since 2014, the BJP has been doing this Hindu-Muslim polarization, but and that has attracted a lot of Hindu votes from those parties who had championed the cause of social justice. Now, to get those votes back, those parties who had championed the cause of social justice are now trying to resort back to the mandalization policy. Now, the RSS knows it too well that if Hindu-Muslim polarization is not working, and if it is actually proving to be counterproductive and leading to polarization within the Hindus, then this artificially induced unity which the RSS has created among the Hindus over the last so many years is going to die. I mean, this unity is not going to survive. So they very badly want this unity to stay. They know that this unity is not organic. They have politically engineered this unity. The vast support of the Bahujan Samaj and the scheduled caste and the scheduled tribe that the RSS is banking upon, and the BJP is banking upon for the victory in 2024, as they did in so many years previously. That is threatened because of this polarization, the seemingly possible polarization among the Hindus because of the Mandalite forces now staging a comeback. So that is the RSS worry. And that worry has prompted Mr. Bhagwat to say all the right things which he has been saying over the last 2-3 years. As far as the reservation policy goes, I have covered a speech by former Sarkar Vyavaha, Mr. Bhaiyaji Joshi, about 5 years ago, where he had delivered a very beautiful speech about how Dalits were discriminated against. And I mean, coming from an RSS top official, it was really very beautiful. And he had said at that time that the reservations must remain as long as those who are getting the reservation do not say that we don't want it. Now, to that position, to that extent, they have taken the positions. But the honesty behind that position is not evident in action. As I said, the EWS policy, the economically weaker section reservation policy, as well as the lateral entry things, they only point in the direction of BJP and RSS trying to get upper castes to the positions of eminence during the last 10 years. So, and lack of condemnation of the incidents of atrocities on Dalits by the RSS also casts a doubt about the honesty behind this particular statement of Mr. Bhagwat. So all in all, I think this is a very, very political statement aimed at saving the grace for the BJP in 2024 elections.
Right. But again, the final question to you, Rajalakshmi, that through this pitch on reservation, the way he's hyping up this pitch on reservation and talking about the fact that reservation should continue till the time there is discrimination, is in a way Bhagwat also preparing a pitch for BJP where it becomes more comfortable to counter the India Alliance's narrative of social justice. So do you see that as a pitch as well? Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, yes, to an extent, surely it does. But in fact, what's interesting is this, while the government, and Mr. Modi, have gone, on a limb projecting that India has arrived, representing the voice of the global South and various other things, at G20, we have Mr. Bhagwat, sort of making these kind of observations that that well, there's something not too good. I mean, I'm saying, for whatever reason he may have said it, which is clearly opportunism. I don't think it stems from any degree of conviction to the idea that reservations should sort of continue or should be increased or should. For instance, otherwise this EWS, and lateral entry kind of shenanigans, would not have really happened. And and we must remember that yes, this whole polarization, in fact, is not. It seems is not working. To say that all of us are the same. Brahmins, Dalits, we're all the same, one big parivar. It's really not working amongst people, right? So then there is this experimentation with representational politics, right? You go ahead and you give those little representative representations among these various castes, and you try to bring them into your fold by saying we are all the same, we are all the same. But then everybody knows it's not the same, okay? And then you have people sort of questioning it also, and this entire polarization tactics, it came in the backdrop of the unifying force of Mandal, right? So it has a history to it, right? So it seems that now it's not working. We have had 2 state assembly elections where those polarizing tactics have not worked. So let's try something new. But the fact that these utterances have been made when the G20 thing is on, that is something, it's I think interesting, and maybe he's feeling ignored. So,
that's an interesting angle that coming as it does during the G20 summit. But it's very clear that by raising the pitch on reservation, we do not know whether what new changes Mohan Bhagwat is looking at, but it certainly brings out some kind of a discomfort of Mohan Bhagwat with the tall figure of Modi, and as what Nilanjan said, that it's a cultification of Modi which has happened over the years. And that seemingly is making Mohan Bhagwat, strike these discordant notes to make his presence felt. But yes, the discomfort is very, very clear. But yes, as people used to say that RSS is always a mystery, but somehow RSS's discomfort is making its line very, very clear as to what is going on in the mind of RSS. Thank you so much, Nilanjan. It was really a pleasure having you on the program. Thank you so much, Vivek, Rajlakshmi. And I hope you all enjoyed the debate.
yes.
And one appeal to the viewers who are watching this discussion, subscribe to our channel, send us your feedback, and stay tuned to the Federal. Thank you.
Subscribe to the Federal's YouTube page for more news and updates.